So I was reading Genesis chapter 11, although I've already reached chapter 19, but I wanted to go back because I want to tell a story. And this story is about the world's first king. And that is Nimrod. He is in the Bible, what it says is that he is the Noah's son's son. So he's Noah's grandson. So Noah is Nimrod's grandfather. Or was it grandson? Yeah, something. But anyway, he's coming from the Noah's heritage, lineage. And based on what I read on the internet is that Nimrod was the first person who kind of applied astrology in his life. So he is the first person maybe spread this astrological or occult science. And he was the hunter, like he was the powerful hunter. But he was a rebel. He was just so powerful and so he was like a beast. Like he was like so powerful and so much maybe ego. Yeah. So he didn't want to follow God. He just didn't want to worship anything. So he went against God. And I'm telling the story because Nimrod is actually, there is a Nimrod mountain in Turkey, again in the southeastern part of Turkey, which is also very near to my mother's hometown and also near to my hometown. On that mountain, on top of that mountain, you can see so many sculpture of many huge heads, like head of Nimrod and some other sculpture. And people go there to see all those sculptures and also to enjoy the sunset because that place is so mystical. Very mystical place. And based on what my mother told me, the story from her mouth, is that Nimrod in fact was a homeless guy, based on what she said. She told me that Nimrod was someone who grew up in the forest by some animals. Like he was like a wild beast. Like he didn't have parents. He didn't have any human figure around him. So he kind of grew like a beast. So he just didn't have those human qualities within him. Like he was just a hunter. He was just killing animals for survival. But after some time later, he was discovered by Noah's son, and so Noah's son adopted him, and so after he adopted him, he had all the power and all the resources and everything, and so he became someone rebellious because he never wanted to be under the domination of the humans, and so he still kept being himself, like the wild himself. And so, and he was also worshipping fire, and he went against God. He didn't want to worship God. And there is a place in my mom's hometown, it's called Fish Leg. In Turkish is Balıklıgöl. So this place is a lake, and inside of that lake there are so many fishes, and they are really big and huge fishes. And based on the story of what my mom told me, and I also visited that place is was a tower, like was built by the Nimrod. And in that area, in that tower, Nimrod prepared a huge fire to burn Abraham, because he wanted Abraham to worship fire and worship something other than God. And then Abraham just didn't want to comply with what he said. He just didn't want to worship things other than God. So he was I think Nimrod was the first person who kind of spread the paganism. So he was worshipping some sculptures and some, I don't know, like some objects and some elements like fire, and also maybe stars, because he was based on the information that I've gained on the web, is that he was the first person who spread the astrology, like the occult science. So he prepared a huge fire to burn Abraham, and then he told Abraham that he told Abraham, and Abraham's brother Haran was also there. So he told Abraham that, like, prove me that your God will protect you from this fire. So if you burn, then I am your God. But if you don't die, this means your God is saving you. So he just wanted to prove him that there's no such thing as God. And so he put Abraham inside of this fire. And in the fire, those coals and those woods, after some magic of the god, of like the mysterious power of the god, those woods and those coals inside of the fire become fishes, and then the fire become water, and hence the lake appeared, the fishy lake. Yeah. And Abraham's brother, back then, Nimrod told Abraham's brother that, when you're like, do you worship me or do you worship God? Like, do you listen to your brother? And Abraham's brother Haran says, if he dies, then I will worship you. If he doesn't die, then I will follow my brother Abraham. And because Abraham didn't die, and so Haran didn't listen to the Nimrod, but then Nimrod throw the Haran into the fire, and then he burned and he died. So Nimrod was the I guess maybe the first person go against God, but he's the first king in the world. Like, he's the first king who had like the person who had the first crown on his head. And so he's the first king in the world, and he's the most like scary beast who had like he was kind of like a dictator of his time. And so yeah, and also based on some other stories, how the Nimrod has died, another story. The Nimrod was actually also very bad to his wife and his kids, and someday some soldiers or something, like God sent some kind of mosquito, and based on the story, like by some soldiers or by the God, I don't know, like somehow a mosquito went into his nose, into his nostrils, and then that mosquito went into his brain, and then he just died. And another story about how he died is that this was written by some Armenian people. Based on the Armenian belief, they say that Nimrod was killed by an Armenian Armenian leader, I guess. He was called Haik. So the Haik killed Nimrod nearby the Lake One. It's also in Turkey. Lake One is also, yeah, not so far from my home. Maybe a few hours. Yeah. So he was killed by the Armenian powerful maybe leader at that time. But yeah, Nimrod was the first king in the world, and the first person who spread the paganism and who spread all this astrology and all this occult science.